Governor O'Malley declared October as Parent Involvement Month.
For the better part of a decade, Maryland's effort to involve parents in their children's education has intensified.
Maryland is certainly on the map when it comes to parent involvement.
Good morning and right this way.
On this day, the board sees a video about parent involvement in Howard County.
It's the aggregate of tiny pushes.
Bit by bit, says one parent, who also speaks fondly of an encounter in kindergarten class with a classmate of his child.
Reached her arms up to me, and I've never seen her before in my life, and she said, "Daddy!"
The movie makes clear the impact of parents in the classroom.
On November 19th, that is National Parent Involvement Day. I want parents to have acted on many ideas.
Now, Maryland emerges as a national leader in the effort.
Right, come back to State Channel.
Over the years, pulling parents in has proven a challenge. Educators found this was so both at home and at school.
Parent involvement was typically an afterthought. We would hear things, yeah, it's important, but we don't have the capacity to do what needs to be done, or yeah, it's important, but we can't get our families to come to schools.
In September of 2003, Dr. Grasmick created MPACT.
MPACT, which stands for the Maryland Parent Advisory Council, launched a statewide effort that has resulted in this assessment by the National PTA.
That Maryland is a guiding light for systemic family engagement. In fact, National PTA highlighted some best practices from Maryland.
Experts hail Maryland's best practices.
Would you talk a little bit about the data that you have?
The board poses questions.
The best practice that we identified in PG County actually has a really excellent data tracking system. And what they have shown and demonstrated is that the more that parents are engaged in their children's education, the higher AYP.
I was familiar with the MPACT document when it was being created. I was on the Maryland PTA board at that time, and good work. But the participation is still so poor, especially at the middle and high school level.
Educators find one way to approach parents is to seek their support in a way that makes them feel comfortable.
For example, in a little tiny school in Garrett County, Crellin Elementary School, their parents around that community figured out the best way they could help, particularly men, was to help to build a playground. And that's how they contributed to the school. Consequently, it brought the whole community and beyond together.
I know that some of the counties, for example, here in Maryland, have excellent ways for parents to be involved on a weekly basis with what's going on with their students in the classroom via web pages, for example. So my question is, do we have an inventory of across broad sets techniques about what's going on?
The answer would be yes, we do. We have the coordinators from each of the school systems reporting to Maria, to Barbara, and to young John about the practices occurring within those school systems.
Dr. Grasmick asks of all parents, volunteer, make a phone call, get involved.
And I recall a number of years ago when I would ask the question, how many students are referred from Baltimore City, and it would be 1. And I have to say that in recent years, targets have been set. It's well over 100 children.
Historically, gifted and talented programs have faced two major challenges: funding and attracting a cross-section of students from all cultural backgrounds. Duane, a student from Baltimore's Polytechnic Institute, personifies what GATE, gifted and talented education, can be.
Without the GATE program, I wasn't challenged. I wasn't challenged at all, actually. I lost interest in school because I found it too easy. But when I started a GATE program in my middle school days, it was the first time in my educational career that I was challenged. And I personally have an internship at Johns Hopkins University, and I work with a fluid mechanic, Dr. Charles Meneveau, and I have the opportunity to study fractal models in a wind tunnel. So I'm still in high school, but I get to do what a graduate student does. And that gives me a real insight into the the real research world, the engineering world.
The Maryland legislature cut funding in 2009 for gifted and talented summer centers programs. It eliminated funding completely for 2010.
We can all join together to honor the life and legacy of Blair Ewing.
And finally, the board paid tribute to the late Blair Ewing. The Montgomery County educator and state board member was known as a champion of school desegregation and of those with special needs.
Blair always focused on the issues of import to the most vulnerable.
This has been News from the Board with MSDE TV.